Hello, friends. This is Jay, and you're listening to the first episode of Dreamtalker Blogcast. Fun fact, I'm recording this for the second time because I messed up with the recording settings when I was recording it the first time. So, my intent for this project is to make blog posts, and do podcasts in tandem. So, for example, I might write a blog post about someone who's been on the podcast, or I will discuss with someone on the podcast something that I've written on the blog. That sort of thing. Or maybe I'll just narrate a blog post like I'm going to do for you today. The blog post that I'm going to be narrating is called A Method for Integrating Your Emotions. Sincerely, I hope you enjoy it. Do you imagine the universe is agitated? Go into the desert at night and look at the stars. This practice should answer the question, writes Lao Tzu, author of the Tao Te Ching. Man, oh man, emotions are a lot. Philosophers and psychologists have been workshopping a grand definition for emotion for ages, and of course, no one can agree. For the purposes of this podcast, I will be rolling with the rudimentary definition that follows. Emotions are mental and physiological responses to events in our lives. That's the definition. It's rudimentary, but it'll serve for now. So you feel them in your body and mind nearly simultaneously. Hormones and neurotransmitters flood your brain: dopamine, serotonin, adrenaline, cortisol, noradrenaline, etc., 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 etc. Your heartbeat and breathing might speed up or slow down, your pupils contract or dilate, and your muscles relax or you tense up. Quote, emotions initiate a system of components that includes subjective experience, expressive behaviors, physiological reactions, action tendencies, and cognition, all for the purposes of specific actions. The term emotion is in reality a metaphor for these reactions, writes Hee-Sung Hwang and David Matsumoto of the Noba Project. Emotions have a lot of function. They help us act quickly in situations that demand it. The physiological responses prepare the body for action. They influence and connect together thoughts and memories in our minds. They serve as a base for the attitudes, values, and beliefs we have about ourselves and our world, helping us to navigate that world. So you can imagine like emotions, or the term emotion, as a sort of umbrella for a bunch of different things that are happening in your body at once. So like when you feel anger, you tense up and your blood gets going and all these different things happen in your body, and we call that anger. And then a bunch of different physiological processes happen when you feel joy or when you feel sadness or whatever else. Emotions are motivators that influence present and future actions. And generally, we strive to experience the positive emotions, and of course, we work very hard to avoid the negative ones. We are emotional beings, no doubt. Quote, if your emotional abilities aren't in hand, if you don't have self-awareness, if you're not able to manage your distressing emotions, if you can't have empathy and have effective relationships, then no matter how smart you are, you're not going to get very far, writes Dr. Daniel Goleman. Emotional intelligence is being able to identify and manage your own emotions, as well as the emotions of others. It's made up of, but not limited to, 3 primary skills. 1, the ability to identify and name your emotions. 2, the ability to harness those emotions and apply them. 3, the ability to manage emotions in yourself, and when necessary, helping others to do the same. Someone who is emotionally intelligent is highly aware of their own emotional states. These people are also tuned into the emotions that the people around them experience. This sensitivity to emotional signals helps you remain stable within your own head, and it helps you to be a better friend, parent, partner, or whatever other role you may find yourself in. Alas, for in our highly rational, logic oriented, philosophically materialist world, particularly in the West, emotions and emotional intelligence are often neglected. Not always, but just broadly, generally speaking, it's not seen as useful, practical, or efficient to or to have or to it's not prioritized is what I'm saying. Expressing your emotions can be seen as a sign of weakness rather than strength, generally speaking. Generally speaking, in the realm of our culture, women are told don't be so sensitive, and men are told man up, don't cry. A lot of stifling going on. But of course, these antiquated attitudes, they are shifting, changing, and growing slowly as collectively we're seeing the damage that these attitudes have done to our lives and the planet. Quote, by putting such emphasis and value into cultivating rationality above all other qualities, our society has essentially encouraged inner conflict and interpersonal imbalance, which leads to cultural decay, writes Matteo Sol of the website Loner Wolf. It's a great website. You should definitely check it out. Generally, we're not taught how to integrate and process our emotions. Emotional intelligence, while it should be taught to kids in schools, it isn't. And when this sort of emotional work goes uncompleted for a long period of time, not only do our minds become dense and cluttered, it manifests physically as well, right? We get weary, we get sick, tired, we feel tense, we get sore. I tend to feel the physical symptoms of stress. I feel it in my gut, I feel it in my throat, and like a lot of people, I feel it in my shoulders and my back muscles. The backlog of unintegrated, unprocessed emotions, it builds and it builds and it builds and it builds until it can't build any longer, and boom, it shatters, it bursts out from you, and then you lash out, you get angry, and you hurt someone you love, and maybe you hurt yourself. It's not fun, it's not cool, and it's not very enjoyable. We have not yet come to terms with the reality of impermanence in the physical world. If we had, we'd all be enlightened, luminous beings, but not yet. We're not there yet. Soon, one day, but not yet. Luminous beings we are, not this crude matter, says Master Yoda. We resist the impermanence intensely. We put every perception, every mental change in this endless flow of phenomena into one of three categories: good, bad, or neutral. When something is labeled good, we grab onto it, we attach to it, we try to keep it as it is, we cryogenically freeze it, and just, oh, it's perfect. I want it. Just keep it like that. I love this feeling. Just keep it just like that. And we try and recreate it over and over again. This is called grasping. When we label something as bad, we push it away, we deny it, and we fight it, and we reject it, and then we try and get rid of it however we can. This is called rejecting. And when something is neither good or bad, we label it as neutral, and we see it as uninteresting, and we pack it away, shove it off to the side so that we can return our attention to where the action is, which happens to be the endless game of grasping and rejecting. It's cyclical. It just goes back and forth and back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. Grasping, rejecting, ignoring, not enjoyable, not fun. I don't think anyone would disagree with me. And the more we resist the impermanence of it all, of course, the more we suffer. So what do we do? What do you do? The only thing to do is to accept, allow, and integrate. You accept the situation as it is, allow your non-intentional emotions to be what they are, and then integrate the whole experience of the situation so that you can learn from it. So, on to the main slice. The method for not the method, but one of many methods for integrating your emotions. What I'll share with you works for me. I hope it works for you. I find it is a very simple method. All it takes is a little bravery, a little imagination, a little willingness to allow yourself to be vulnerable. And of course, the variations that build on the method are limitless. They'll go as far as your imagination can take you. And I will share with you two of my favorite variations. And all of these things are built on three important steps. The first step is to identify your feelings. The next step is to allow yourself to feel them. And then the next step is to accept them just as they are. Let them be how they are without trying to change them. So let's get it. I'll show you. Here's the method. Vulnerability. Vulnerability is not weakness. It is not a synonym for weakness. Just get that straight. To be vulnerable is to be at risk of experiencing harm. Within the context of the human experience, emotional vulnerability is the willingness to acknowledge your emotions, especially the painful ones. Once again, emotional vulnerability is the willingness to acknowledge your emotions, especially the painful ones. Being able to be vulnerable and to look at your feelings and to really take them in, it can take strength. It takes strength. It's not easy. It is tough, but it must be done. Quote, "The cave you fear to enter holds the treasure you seek." Joseph Campbell. Allow this Joseph Campbell quote to haunt you just as it haunts me. Use the fear, the resistance, the hesitation. Use those feelings as your compass. And wherever they point you, dive deeply into the cave that you fear to enter, because you know, real growth awaits on the other side. It's human nature to avoid things that hurt. While it definitely applies to joy and excitement in complex ways, typically the concept of emotional vulnerability is more necessary for things like sadness, jealousy, envy, shame, guilt, and anger. Our natural reaction to feeling bad is to immediately do something to get away from those feelings. Responses like that can be helpful, no doubt. In the heat of emotion, it's not easy to confront the feelings you're feeling. So yes, when you're angry, go for a run, lift some weights. When you're drowning in sadness, go watch a movie, go for a walk, do something to stabilize your mood. Punch a punching bag. Don't hurt anyone else. Whatever you do, do what you need to do to stabilize yourself, but don't hurt anybody else. That's like golden rule. But once you've stabilized, please, 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 don't neglect to come back to your emotion. It hasn't left. It's waiting there for you. Please, please don't pack it away. Allow yourself to be vulnerable. You're safe. It's all you. It's all inside of you. And you don't have to be afraid of yourself. Here's the method. Step 1. Breathe. Slowly, deeply into your diaphragm. In through your nose and out through your mouth. Slow yourself down. Feel your heart beating in your chest. Feel your feet on the ground. Feel your limbs, feel the air on your skin, and breathe. Step 2. Identify what you're feeling. Softly say it out loud to yourself. I'm feeling anger. I am feeling sorrow. I am feeling guilt. Whatever you're feeling, identify it and say it out loud. Observe and identify the emotions within you. Step 3. Feel your feelings fully. Allow yourself to take in the full extent of the feelings you're feeling. You're safe. It's okay to feel your emotions, I promise. And step 4. Welcome your feelings into your heart. Say it out loud. Emotion, I see you, I hear you, I feel you. I welcome you into my heart. I feel you fully, and I allow you to exist just as you are. I love you. Emotions are like needy children. All they want is to be acknowledged. Once you do so, they can begin to dissolve. And the only one that can acknowledge them is you. Uh, as Ramdas likes to say, the real work happens in the privacy of your own heart. So here's a variation on those steps. The variation is the exact same steps as before. The only change is that as you are breathing and identifying and feeling and welcoming those emotions, do it in front of a mirror. Do it in front of a mirror with your arms held open at your side, looking yourself straight in the eye. It is very powerful to do this sort of exercise, this sort of work, while making eye contact with yourself. It's not easy, but it works. It's great. It's very powerful. Try it. I hope it helps. I really hope it helps. And here's variation 2. This one, I like this one. It is very fantastical. It will require some imagination, but this is a whole activity by itself. It's like a magical ritual or something, but it's very fun. You should definitely try it. It's quite enjoyable. I feel very good after it. I don't do it often, but I feel very good after it. And this variation, it revolves around the idea that emotions don't exist in a vacuum. Emotions often come with other emotions piggybacking onto them. For example, if you're feeling shame, you might also be feeling anger at the situation that is causing you to feel shame. And if you're feeling anger, you might also be feeling fear. And if you're feeling fear, that might be because, I don't know, something is causing you to feel guilty or something. You're afraid of I don't know, whatever. But the point is that emotions don't exist in a limbo. They always exist in relationship to one another. And so what this next visualization that I'll share with you helps you to do is it helps you to clarify and unpack what your complex emotions are made of. So here's what you do. Step 1. Go for a walk, preferably during or after sunset. But it's best, I find it's best done at night, ideally on a very chilly, windy day. Uncomfortable. Make sure outside is a little uncomfortable, and then layer up. Turn yourself into a cocoon of warmth, right? Layer up with a bunch of like gloves and socks, and get a scarf and a toque and wrap the scarf around your face to conserve your heat, and just make yourself a cocoon of warmth walking through this cold evening. And then as you're walking, breathe. Breathe deeply, breathe deep and slow, and feel the warmth inside your jacket and the warmth inside your, little cocoon. And then feel and observe the world around you. Feel your feet on the ground. Listen to the sounds around you. Look at the colors and textures of the world and feel your emotions interacting inside of you. And then observe how your emotions interact inside of you. And then next, visualize your emotions as glowing, swirling currents of air inside your body. Turn your body transparent and maybe look down at yourself, or imagine inside in your mind's eye, in your imagination, glowing currents of light, air moving around inside of you. And what color are they? They represent your emotions. What color is your anger? What color is your sadness? What color is your guilt? And feel them and see them as moving, dancing, and interacting colors. And maybe where do you feel them? Do you see, and do you imagine you feel your anger in your chest? Maybe you feel shame or you feel guilt and you feel it in your throat. Or maybe you feel, I don't know, envy in your pinky toe. Wherever it is, just find them in your body. And then imagine that you are pulling them out of your chest, hanging them in the air in front of you, right? The light energy that's represents your emotions. Imagine that you're just sucking them out of your chest and turning them into a big old beach ball in front of you, a big old marble colored beach ball, and it's glowing and all the colors are sort of shifting and changing, interacting with one another in there. Imagine them to be like blots of ink in clear water, swirling. And each color, of course, represents a separate emotion. So then what you do next is separate the emotions into their own emotion balls. So go, use your hands if you want to, if it helps you feel more magical. But in front of you, just in your imagination, take your anger and suck it into a ball of its own, and then take your sadness and put it over here, and take your guilt and put it over here, and take your shame and put it over here, and take your joy and put it over here, and visualize all these floating emotion balls just hanging in the air in front of you. And now your complex emotional state is sort of broken down, deconstructed by these individual colored energy balls. And look at them, observe them. If you've seen the movie Inside Out, then you can imagine them to be like those core memory balls from Inside Out. And maybe in the anger ball, for example, you could imagine the scene that is triggering your anger. You could see it inside the anger ball, just replaying, looping over and over again. Observe your emotions as they're outside of you like this. Then one by one, for each emotion that you've identified, you must take them in. Look at the emotion balls from the outside, and then find out, where does this emotion come from and what is it pointing to? And then take the emotion ball and take it into your body. The emotion that you've isolated, absorb it back into your body. Breathe it in and visualize the color of it flooding your physical form from head to toe. So maybe I'll take in the sadness ball, and I'll take it in, and maybe the sadness ball is blue, and as I breathe it in, my entire body turns blue. And then feel it. Allow yourself to feel the emotion without passing judgment, and allow that feeling to exist within you just as it is, and feel it fully without trying to change it. Say to it, I see you, I hear you. Hello, sadness, I feel you. I welcome you into my heart. I allow you just as you are. I love you. And then, when you're ready, take a deep breath. Inhale the crisp, clear outside air, and exhale all of that emotional energy. And imagine it dissipating into the air in front of you, dissolving. And do that for each emotion ball. Engage all of your mindfulness, all of your imagination, all of your presence for this activity. And then, of course, that was a bit of a heavy activity, yes? So treat yourself. Have some ice cream, do some aftercare, watch a movie, read a book, tell some jokes, make dinner, get dinner, listen to music, whatever. Do what makes you happy. Just take care of yourself after that. Again, things like this, it won't cure your depression, or it won't, resolve all the emotional conflict and all of your trauma, and it won't do that. But what it will do is it will help kickstart the process of healing, right? When you do an activity or an exercise or work like this, what it does is it just gets that process going inside of you, inside of your brain, inside of your subconscious, inside of your heart. And then it's just, the healing will come. The healing will come. You will feel better, but you have to start the process for it to come. I really like the visualization one. They say that your subconscious mind operates not in words, but in images and feelings. So making a whole imagination ritual out of processing your emotions like that, it really helps to sort of dive in and unpack all of that and work through it at a very subconscious level. All of it, it helps. It really helps. Make up your own methods. The sky is the limit. Your emotion is the limit, and your emotion is, sorry, not your emotion. Well, yes, your emotion. What I meant to say is your imagination is the limit. Your imagination is the limit, and of course, your imagination is infinite. So, make up your own methods. Just remember, what is important is the three big steps. Identify the feelings, feel the feelings, and allow them to exist just as they are without trying to change them. It's paradoxical when you welcome your emotions like that and allow them to exist just as they are without trying to change them, then they will dissolve. They just dissolve. But if you try to welcome them into your heart with the intent of dissolving them, then it'll be a lot harder for you to work through those emotions. It's very paradoxical, but I don't know. It's weird. But the process, it helps. It helps. Name the feelings, feel the feelings, and allow them just as they are without trying to change them. Make sure you have fun. Growth and healing, while it is tough, is fun. You feel better after. I've got some parting thoughts. What are your emotions trying to tell you? Explore without judgment what the emotions are telling you about yourself and your situation. As well, how can you behave according to your emotions' message? Based on what you've learned, how can you behave in order to restore balance? Quote, we're often criticized for expressing our emotions, and we feel guilty or uncomfortable when experiencing strong sensations. But emotions are vital parts of life. I've dealt with countless people who've asked me, why am I so emotional? What's wrong with me? And of course, the answer is always, nothing. It's normal to experience many emotions, but it is abnormal to suppress them or pretend they don't exist. It's also harmful to indulge in emotional drama without paying attention to the hidden messages encapsulated in each emotion. When we can apply self-inquiry to our emotions, we find that feelings add another piece to our inner puzzle and journey towards a more whole and authentic self. That was written by Matteo Sol of the site Loner Wolf. Once again, it's a very cool website. You should check it out. They've got some great writing on there. So try it out. Try it out, friends. In this way, you can reduce your anxiety, reduce stress, strengthen your self-identity, strengthen your relationships, improve your self-awareness, and grow your sense of inner peace. If you're feeling hurt, if you're feeling whatever, like, I don't know, if you listen this far, I don't need to tell you, right? Why would you not do something about it? It's like you've got a broken arm and you refuse to visit the doctor, right? Do something about it. Take care of yourself. I love you. Take care of yourself. I'll leave you with the Buddha's Four Reminders, translated by Chogyam Trungpa Rinpoche. Joyful to have such a human birth, difficult to find, free and well-favored. But death is real, comes without warning. This body will be a corpse. Unalterable are the laws of karma. Cause and effect cannot be escaped. Samsara is an ocean of suffering, unendurable, unbearably intense. Emotional vulnerability is a process. It's tough. It's a process. It's got to be done. It's important work that must be undertaken if one is to have any shred of peace and tranquility in this vast and chaotic world. In the ocean of suffering that is the physical world, it's worth learning how to swim. Thank you for listening. That was great. I'm very stoked for this Blogcast project. Currently, I'm hosting it on YouTube. In the future, I will get it on other podcasting platforms like, I don't know, Spotify, Google, iTunes, whatever else. But for now, YouTube will suffice. I will try and have another one up. I might narrate my meditation guide that I have on the blog, and then I'll get a friend of mine, I'll get someone on here, and we'll talk about some wiggly, weird stuff. But it'll be good. It'll be good. Thank you for listening. This is Jay, and you've been listening to the Dreamtalker Blogcast.